All right, all right, all right. There's a lot of echo up in here. All right, I'll just turn that all the way down. I don't need to hear my own voice. Kurt, thank you so much for liking on Facebook. I really do appreciate that. Thank you as we slowly start to get in here. Turn it down a little more because I can still hear it. Kind of annoying. Let me know what you thought, man. Let me know what you thought about the game. Packers do go on to win 24-10. I mean, I guess I wish it was one more touchdown, and I think if the Packers didn't just kick it into neutral in the fourth quarter, / if A.J. Dillon didn't fumble, 2 out of his 3 carries, probably could have got there. But, I mean, that was fantastic. And the fact that they only scored 10 points when 90% of the game was played inside of our own 10-yard line, that's pretty remarkable. Packers defense did an unbelievable job. The Washington football team got tons of yards, tons of everything. I mean, that score could have been a lot higher. They only scored 10. I don't think they've scored that low all season, have they? What am I looking for? Here we go. It's 2018, but we can fast forward. 2019, 2020, 2021. No, they have not. 13 points was their lowest last week. So this is the worst performance by their offense, and it's against our defense, who is completely decimated with injuries. And yet still I get a ton of negative messages about how bad our defense is, and I don't get it. I know they give up a lot of yards, but, I mean, is that what you want? I don't know. I don't get it. Chris, thank you so much for liking the stream. Billy, thank you for liking the stream. Really appreciate that. Yeah, fantastic performance. The only reason it stings a little bit is because with us not getting over that hump into 31, which again, I think they very easily could have done. They obviously just tried to run out the clock. And unfortunately, our offensive line, as Goose pointed out with the first comment here, could not block anything, especially as far as run blocking goes. So trying to run out the clock with our running backs, especially with one basically getting pulled because he had a dropped catch and 2 dropped fumbles on like 3 carries and 1 target. So pretty bad day. And then we had to bring in, because we didn't want Aaron Jones playing, so we had to bring in our third string guy, and that's not going to help a ton. But the only reason that kind of stings is Washington had given up 30 pretty much this entire season aside from week 1, 29 to the Giants, 43-30, 33-31. You kind of wish we could have been in that company, but otherwise I don't really know what there is to complain about. Andrew says 3 points on 4 red zone visits. Go Pack, go. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's incredible. It really is. And they did it because the Packers defense is supposed to be terrible at it, and the Packers defense stiffened. They did a great job. Granted, we kind of got gifted one by the quarterback for some reason taking a knee on the half-yard line, but I'll take it, I guess. They still stiffened when they needed to, Eric and Peter, thank you so much for liking the stream. I appreciate that. Brandon says that was against a very good defensive line. That's true. It is a very good defensive line. There's no question about it. Unfortunately, they haven't been, I guess they've been decent against the run. I was going to say they haven't been that good they haven't been that good as far as, converting sacks. They do get a lot of pressures, but they're 8th, which, that's pretty good, I guess. How many pressures did Gary have? I don't have those numbers yet. I probably won't have them until tomorrow. Might get some preliminary PFF pressure numbers tonight, but last time they did that, I think they said it was 6. Then the next day they said it was 5, and then a few hours later I think they gave him 7. So it takes a while for them to fully get settled in. But he was all over the place, man. Billy says defense was impressive. Definitely was. Goose says our defense, wowza, we have a defense. And again, this is with nobody playing. We don't have our top pass rusher. We don't have our top 2 corners. Debatable, but I'm going to say it anyways. We don't have our top pass rusher or our second pass, third-ish pass rusher, or our 5th pass rusher. I mean, we're missing 3 guys at the pass rush position. Yes, I'm calling that a position because I feel like it. This week may affect the team's tackling grade. Yeah, it got a little rough at some points. Is Devondre the team MVP? Dude is solid, man. He just is. I mean, the one tackle in particular toward the end of the game, he's just such a strong physical guy. He just feels like a defensive lineman. the way he just grabs a guy and manhandles him and just ragdolls people. It's like, you shouldn't be that strong. A lot of times you see linebackers, especially in today's NFL, maybe not back in the day, but with the smaller, faster type guys, they'll run at a guy, and it's like watching a corner try to tackle. You know, he might get him down, he might not, but he's not going to just grab a guy and manhandle him. And Campbell does that. Jacob, thank you so much for liking the stream. Appreciate that. Benny says, not the prettiest win, but I'll take it considering all the injuries we have. The Chiefs got spanked. That's the other thing. Again, I love talking about perspective because we look at this and say, well, it should have been 10-40. Our offense, blah, 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 blah. Dude, be glad you won, all right? Because some crazy stuff happened this week. Carolina, do you remember how big of how much hype there was for Carolina to start this season? Sam Darnold had revitalized his entire career now that he's gone to Carolina. This is an unstoppable team. Nobody's ever going to stop them now. They're just this force to be reckoned with. They lost to the Giants 25-3, and Sam Darnold got pulled. So be glad. The Jets lost to the New England Patriots 54-13. That's crazy. And yeah, Kansas City, this oh-so-great powerhouse, and granted, you could say, well, everybody knows their defense is bad. First of all, no. I've been saying that for 3 years, and nobody believed me. Everybody laughed at me. But anyways, they only gave up 27. That's not that bad of a beating. The real reason they lost is this powerhouse offense that usually wins by scoring 35 points scored 3. And now I don't know if their quarterback is going to be okay. Last I saw on that little highlight reel, he was getting walked off the field. We'll see what happens. Baltimore got embarrassed. Baltimore's another team very similar to the Packers, trying to establish themselves, trying to prove that they're not a fluke, that they're a real powerhouse, that they can really do this, can really contest in the AFC. And they got embarrassed by the Bengals 41-17. That's one of the teams we have coming up that people are saying, I don't know if we're going to beat them. It's a tough matchup that we got coming up. By the way, our upcoming games, we have Arizona, who we haven't seen yet, Kansas City, who just got embarrassed, Seattle, who's been getting embarrassed, Minnesota, who, not very good. Baltimore's down the line. Again, they just got embarrassed. So, again, this is why I like keeping an eye on these things, because we just assume everything. Arizona's elite, Chiefs are elite, Seahawks are elite, Vikings are always tough, Rams are elite, Ravens are elite. We're going to lose like 7 games coming up here. Well, that's our common conception, but we got to keep an eye on these things and see what's going on. Dale, thanks so much for liking the stream. Travis, if I didn't say that already. Hard to keep track. What do we got? I think Bengals dropping 40 on the Ravens will tell everyone all they need to know about where our defense is at with injuries locked down on the Bengals offense. Let me look at one thing really quickly here. And again, yeah, the Packers defense is not getting enough credit. Somebody had mentioned this is a top 5 defense on the telecast. I was like, well, I don't know where you're getting that from, but I appreciate the love. So Cincinnati scored, we held them to the second lowest point total. They rocked Detroit, rocked Baltimore. They didn't get a ton of points prior to us, but it was still 24, 24, 27 against the Vikings. The only team that held them to lower points was the Bears, holding them to 17. So their second worst offensive performance of the season came against the Green Bay Packers. Seems to be somewhat of a common theme. And again, the Packers are just doing a good job. 14 points, 22 points, and 17 points is all they've given up. They give up 28 to the 49ers, and before that was 17. So the last time we gave up even 30 points was against New Orleans. This is with all the injuries. We're not even at full strength. I think a lot of people need to think back to when we hired Joe Barry and how angry they were, especially after that game against New Orleans, talking about how he was a trash hire. I mean, it still remains to be seen, but this has been pretty incredible so far. The Packers defense, and I'm looking at it right now, this is before we even get the stats for Washington haven't even been uploaded. 13th in terms of points, 4th in terms of yards. That's maybe where they came up with top 5. I hadn't even noticed that. They were the 4th highest in terms of yards. Washington did get a decent amount of yards, so maybe that comes down a little bit. I don't know. But the points are going to get even better. How many teams gave up so few points this week? Probably not many. How many that were above us? 10 points. That's crazy. I mean, is Tennessee above us? They give up 3. They would stay ahead of us. Who are the other teams ahead of us? Nobody else has given up 10. I mean, we might sneak into top 10 in both points and yards after this week. I'm very excited to see, curious to see where we end up. And again, this is with all these problems. And yeah, after Arizona, Maybe we slip out of the top 10. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Cross that bridge when we get to it. Dale and Wayne, thank you so much for liking the stream. Really appreciate that. Billy says, good to see Lazard getting involved in the passing game. I had mentioned that on a lot of these Washington interviews that I'd done, I never know what to call that. But watch out for Tunyon and Lazard because they're due. I didn't mean both, but I guess I did because Lazard and Tunyon both had a pretty big impact on this game. Aaron says 6-1 with 3 exclamation points. I tell you what, man, if you had said 6-1, there's no way in the world you'd have convinced me we don't have Jair, we don't have Zadarius, we don't have a lot of these we don't have Bakhtiari yet. We don't have MVS for the last however many weeks. No real deep threat. Never would have believed that. JB says, go Pack Go, AR12 MVP. Let's go. What up, Pack Daddy? What's going on, JB? JB's always jacked up. What's going on, man? Billy says, Campbell is a tackling machine overall, a breath of fresh air. He just doesn't make mistakes. You know, there's a couple times when he's like a half a step behind somebody. The one play, there was a relatively big pass given up, and he went and made a tackle, but it was pretty clear he was just playing a zone, and they went into the open spot in the zone, and he had to run over and make a tackle. So there was one time I remember saying, oh, man, he might have given up a big play on that one. That wasn't the case. Sorry, I'm clearing my throat so much. I just cannot get it clear. Benny says, Rashawn Gary has to be one of the top 5 PFF team ranks this week. Rasul Douglas has been solid. PFF always throws a couple wrinkles in there. Never really know what's going to happen with that, but it would be surprising. I mean, even the announcers are like, this guy's been in on every single play. Even that Dean Lowry sack, it kind of looked like Heineke was going to be able to either escape it, or if not escape it, stay up and throw the ball away, do something. Rashawn was right there to clean it up, which was huge. George, thanks so much for liking the stream. Facebook is killing it, by the way. The last 15 likes have been Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to like the stream. It would be great. Princess Thunderballs with a $1.99 super chat. Yo, my man. I'll always take a win. I love it. Love Princess Thunderballs. Mostly because I just get to say it. Mr. Peter Thomas says Dillon was holding the ball with both arms on the second fumble, still got poked out. Commentators said hold the ball with 2 arms. He was. Sometimes stuff just happens, but, again, I mean, they didn't play him very much, which was weird to begin with. And then he gets a fumble, and then he didn't play again. Then he comes out, gets another. It just felt like something was weird today with A.J. Dillon. I don't know what it was. Even that one pass that he dropped, I mean, it wouldn't have really mattered. Rodgers was basically throwing it away. He was kind of diving at it, but it's still we could have got 2 yards on that. Just hold on to it. Chris with a like on Facebook. Thank you so much. What are your thoughts on Merciless from what you saw? I thought he looked great. That was Cody's question. I thought he really looked good. He had at least a couple pressures. I think there was one where he almost got a sack, and he's kind of coming up like this saying almost got there. I thought he looked good. The other thing that was really interesting to me is it seemed like for the most part in critical situations, it wasn't Garvin and Rashawn, it was Merciless and Rashawn. So there's, according to the Green Bay Packers and what they've seen, this isn't just, and I was a little bit worried about it, and I've heard a lot of Packer fans kind of questioning this, that this is just a pickup because you're scared that you're going to miss out on some guys. It's basically a desperation pickup. But if that was the case, you'd play Garvin and Rashawn as your top 2 guys, and Merciless would be after that. But it was mostly, from what I saw, Merciless and Rashawn Gary, especially on those critical third downs. So no question in my mind, they thought that he was the number 2 after Rashawn, which was great to see. And he showed up. It wasn't just a decision that they made to show him some respect, and he didn't show up. That's not the case. He showed up. Caden Reaver says, go, Pack, go. Eric says 6-1, and going into a short week against the Cardinals is what we needed. Stokes is going to be a special, especially when paired with Jair when he comes back. I'm excited about that. I still think Stokes is doing a pretty good job. Still a couple bad plays that you wish, that touchdown, it was hanging up there long enough, and it was short enough that if he could have, again, the one of the things that he keeps doing is he panics and just starts doing this stuff. If he just calms down, sets his feet, turns, and just grabs the ball, he gets a pick. But instead, he's kind of freaking and trying to time this little swat, and just nothing happens. And I think Chandon Sullivan was a great example of that. You look at it and say, well, that was a trash throw, so you can only give him half credit. Well, Stokes was a bad throw also. But there's still a matter of acknowledging, because a lot of times you're just playing into the receiver. You acknowledge it's short, you get your head around, then you get your feet planted, you get your body controlled, you turn around, and you make the catch. I mean, it's not just an automatic thing. If you panic and just run into the receiver, like, please, no, please, 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 you don't get the pick, and that's what Stokes has been doing. You want to see a little bit better of that. But again, every time, it seems like every single game, Stokes gives up a big play, and it's like, oh, come on, dude. And he follows that up with another big play right after that, and he did. He had that fourth down breakup that was beautiful. Amos had another breakup that was beautiful. I should get the stats up and ready to rock pretty soon here. Anyways, somebody asked if Bakhtiari was back today. I don't think so. I guess I didn't look, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't. Who was playing left? I wasn't paying close enough attention, I guess. 89 looked like tight end 1. Yeah, man, he really does. I mean, maybe not necessarily today, Peter said, just because Tunyon did such a good job. But, I mean, he's getting better every week. Mercedes Lewis the last 2 weeks has gotten a borderline elite grade, and I'd be almost surprised if he didn't again this week. I mean, his receiving ability gets better every week. The fact that he was the second progression on that one play, kind of sneaking down the sideline, gets a big play. His broken tackles and everything else, the guy is just a monster. Caden says these veteran additions by Goot have been huge. I'm assuming by Fire is supposed to be by Goot have been huge. They have been. He's done a great job of finding guys, and not just anybody, but guys that are getting the job done. And, I mean, again, Whitney Merciless just picked him up off the street, and what a great job he's done. Who else was it that kind of stood out to me? The heck is the guy's name? Where is he? I can't find him. Where is he on the thing here? He's not an outside linebacker. Campbell, Barnes, Summers, Burks, McDuffie. You guys didn't even upgrade your thing. Anyways, Jalen Smith. They have him as an outside linebacker. Jalen Smith is who is. I thought he looked better today. Hey, Marcus Doyle with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. I thought Jalen Smith looked a little bit better. I mean, he still seems like real jittery, like more movement than is necessary, but he was getting after it. He almost got a sack on one play. He's flying all. I mean, the athleticism is evident, which is cool. And if you could just calm him down and get him in the right spot, he can make plays, man. He's the kind of guy that can shoot a gap and tackle in the backfield and cover and all that kind of stuff. It's very evident, his movement, but you just need to get that movement from jittery to just in a straight line in the right direction. And again, that's my commentary on like 4 plays that I watched. He may end up with a horrible grade, but I thought he looked significantly better. Billy says, my only negatives are the offensive line and Dylan's fumbling problems. Yeah, I would agree with that. And the offensive line just wasn't, I mean, I won't say they weren't good enough. I think the pass blocking kind of cleaned up after a while, at least gave Rodgers enough time. He couldn't really hold the ball for any long period of time, but the pressures kind of calmed down after a while. They were coming hot and heavy pretty regularly. The run game was just non-existent. It's been that way all year. I mean, somebody had sent me a message like, I don't think the grades for the offensive linemen are going to be very good this week. And I was like, I hate to tell you, they haven't been good all year. I mean, they really just have not been grading out very well since like the beginning of the season when we had Elton grading out real well and stuff like that. But Josh Myers has not been grading out very well. Billy Turner has not been grading out very well. Lucas Patrick, I think, did do kind of well. But for the most part, I mean, it's been pretty low grades for our offensive linemen for this entire year. But again, doing good enough. $10 super chat from Benny the Beast. He says, bruh, keep up the good work. Love the structure you have going with the podcast and post-game live streams. Here's $10 for the effort. Really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's extremely helpful to me. Mike says, why cannot a Packers D contain a rushing quarterback? Murray's going to go off. I don't know. I mean, I think, first of all, it's hard to do, which is why a lot of teams like to do it. I mean, if you play to contain, then first of all, your pressures are going to drop to 0 because you're not attacking, you're containing. Also, you have a hard time dropping and covering, which is a lot of those scrambles were exactly that. They were scrambles, not designed rushes. And he scrambled because it was on deeper plays, so your guys have to drop back. And what do? Again, you can't contain and rush the passer. I mean, I guess you kind of can collapse the pocket, but that's really hard to do to perfectly, because you got to get around them. Because if you're just collapsing like a U, you can't see my hands. I don't know why I'm even bothering at this point. He can just run around, right? It's not an easy thing to do, and a lot of those are just on broken plays, and you know, it's hard to do. With that being said, the only thing I'll say, not that I expect Murray to be contained necessarily, but I don't think you come into this game saying our number one priority is to stop Tyler Heineke from running. when you go up against Kyler Murray, it's going to change things. Now, again, that's going to bring with it some negatives. If you prioritize, make sure he doesn't escape the pocket, the pressures are going to go down, more than likely. The ability to cover is going to be a lot harder because you're going to be playing, not that the Packers don't play a ton of zone anyways, but you're playing a ton of zone and basically almost spying with your linebackers, more focused on watching Kyler and making sure he doesn't get away, which I don't know what you can do anyways because your linebackers aren't going to be fast enough if he takes off. But even with that, you're so tuned in on him, you're not watching the guy running behind your back. So it's a catch-22, and the point is their priority was everything else in this game, and there were a couple times when everybody's focused on everything else, and he had the ability to run, and he's a very talented runner. Kyler, I think the priority is going to be stopping Kyler from running. And that's, again, even if they're successful with that, it's going to cause a lot of other problems, and that's what we need to be prepared for, right? You know, if Kyler's not running all over the place, then there's going to be a lot of frustration. Oh, there's no pressure in this game, and why can't they cover? Da-da-da-da-da. Because they're focusing on containing Kyler Murray. Pedro says, defensive line, Lazard and Amos were awesome today. Go, Pack, go. Defensive line, yep. Lazard, yep. Amos, yes. Agree with all that. Amos was fantastic, I thought. That big pass play breakup. Another guy that just popped into my head, Rasul Douglas and Chandon Sullivan deserve a huge round of applause. The fact that you didn't hear Rasul Douglas's name even once, aside from the one play where he had like a big pass breakup, and that was it. And it's like, oh, he's playing? That's weird. I didn't even know. Jacob says, sign up with Pristine Auction with Packernet promo code. It's free, and you'll be entered to win each week for the rest of the year if you keep up with the stream and podcast. Thank you, Jacob, for helping me with that. If it wasn't for Jacob, I'd never remind anybody. He says, like, actually free. No, it really is. So if you don't know, the way that we do this, you sign up at Pristine Auction, use promo code Packernet. That's sort of like your baseline. That's already done. Then every week what we do is we say, here's what you have to do to win on top of that. So it'll be follow us on Instagram, comment or tag 3 people and share this in your story, and then you're entered or whatever. I don't know, Jacob, did we give that helmet away, or are we doing that like today? If we are, you guys need to get in on that. And or not, it wouldn't be today, it'd be tomorrow, but whenever we end up signing that the winner. By the way, if you've been trying to message me, I'm very sorry, it just dawned on me. I got a brand new phone. I don't have Instagram or Discord on my phone, and it just dawned on me right now that I don't have those two things on there. So Jacob, I apologize. If you've been trying to communicate that to me, it just dawned on me. You've been probably trying to get a hold of me. I got Facebook right now. If you want to hit me up on that, or Twitter or whatever, go ahead and do that until I get those things downloaded. Sorry about that. But yeah, go follow on Instagram. That'll be the best way to find out what the rules are to get entered. But it's just free stuff, and they've given away so many cool things. Signed Devontae jersey, signed Aaron Jones helmet is this week. It's a really cool looking helmet signed. We've got some awesome stuff coming up. I don't know if I'm supposed to say what it is, but I saw the pictures of it. It's freaking amazing. What else did we give away? Signed, one was a signed DeGuara jersey, which didn't end up being as cool as I'd hoped because he ended up getting injured again. But hopefully DeGuara has a big day coming up here at some point. Bakhtiari jersey, I think we gave away, all authenticated, all with the certificates, signed stuff. It's really good stuff. Anyways, Heretical Games says, per PFF, we are 4th passing, 5th overall. Passing as in overall passing grade, like for Aaron Rodgers. Let me see what that is about. Actually, I'm guessing they didn't have any recaps up yet. That would be way too early. Be my guess. I guess I don't really need to look that up, but I'm just curious what you're talking about. Passing grade? No, the Packers are 15th. Is it coverage? Nope, 14th. I don't know what you mean. 4th passing, 5th overall. I don't know what that means. DVOA should make the defense better based on Bengals win versus the Ravens. I think they will. I don't know exactly how that works. Wayne says it may not have been the prettiest win. It was still a very solid win. It's what the Packers have done all year. And again, it's one of those things where you say it really wasn't a pretty win, but we got it done. But still, 10 points, man. That's pretty solid. Kind of wish the 24 was a little bit better. But again, I don't even think the offense was bad. It was a couple little things. You know, again, you get a turnover and stuff, and you basically eliminate the fourth quarter, and a couple little things where maybe if it had gone just slightly different, we could have upped that and got to that 30 marker. But even from that standpoint, it's like one touchdown should not make the difference between that was a terrible offensive performance and we killed them. right? Because if we get to 31, that's basically what they've been giving up every week, and we're on that par. And again, if the Packers had given 110% and or if there wasn't that Dillon fumble, they were probably going to get another 7 at some point. But, yeah, I thought everything was fine. Brandon says, imagine if we get healthy. No kidding. I'm hoping we get relatively healthy next week because, this team, I think, has what it takes for the most part to get the job done. The defense has been phenomenal, and if you can input a guy like Zadarius, a guy like Jair, even get maybe King back, although I don't know if I want King. Rasul Douglas has done such a good job. I would hate to bench Rasul for King, and I can't imagine you would bench Stokes for King. I don't know. I don't know what you do in that situation. And even if you say, well, they really liked King in the slot, maybe they go with that and keep Rasul out in the boundary. But it's like, I think Sullivan might have been our best corner so far this season. So I don't know if maybe I don't want King back at this point. Either way, though, I just feel like if we get back to full strength, especially if Preston can come back, with Whitney Merciless playing at this high of a level, imagine our 4 pass rushers being Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith, and Whitney Merciless, with 3 of those 4 doing a really good job as pass rushers, and Preston being a more situational run defender type, who occasionally gets some decent pressures and a sack or something. Holy cow. Craziness. Jacob says, fumbling was crazy. And why don't we use Amari? I was wondering, I kept seeing him out there. They kept using him in motion. I kept thinking one of these times they're either going to hand it to him or they're going to dump it off to him. I don't really know. Like I said, the one time they used him, I thought he looked real good. Maybe they're just kind of keeping that one in their back pocket. I'm not sure. Princess Thunderballs, the running game seemed off all game. I just think it was the blocking, to be honest. And again, with A.J. Dillon just not playing, which was weird to begin with. I don't know what's going on with that. You're leaning on Aaron Jones a lot. And I think it just works better when you're kind of going back and forth. And they kind of just leaned on Aaron Jones the whole game. Aaron Rodgers mostly the whole game, and then Aaron Jones after that. And again, the run blocking was just pathetic. Billy says, how about that punting? Dude, that was incredible. 2 of the best punts I've seen. You've got the one with pressure right in his face, which, by the way, that 80-yard boomer, the 81-yard kick that he had, that was also pressure in his face. This other one, he had pressure right in his face. And then he had one of the prettiest, most perfect at-the-goal line kicks I think I've ever seen. I'm so glad the refs decided to overturn that, because it'd be a real shame to take something that pretty away from the guy. Goose with a $2.79 super chat says, we came out with a win and healthy. That's the W. We came out with a win and healthy as far as moving forward. Absolutely. That's a huge thing. We'll see. Who knows what kind of weird little tweaks were going on. We had a couple guys go off the field once in a while. Sometimes these things, they go back in and play, and then as they kind of rest a little bit, it's like, I don't know if he's going to be ready to go. Somebody had mentioned to me Kenny came off for a little bit and a couple other little things, so hopefully everything's going to be fine. Thank you, Chris and Scott, so much for liking the stream on Facebook. Appreciate that. David says, I thought the safeties played well. I did too. I think Savage had 1 or 2 little missteps in there, but I thought he had a really good game. Obviously, wish he could have recovered that one fumble, but I think he had was it almost a missed pick too or something? I don't know. He has a lot of missed opportunities. He's kind of like Stokes in that way. But man, that guy flies all over the field and makes some big plays. Heretical says, bad run blocking, good run defense. Our time of possession was low. Yeah, that was the other thing that was kind of frustrating is, and part of the reason the offensive points were down so much is the defense, despite keeping the points low, had a hard time getting the other team off the field, and that doesn't mean, our offense is not going to have the ball very much, which is going to make that more difficult. 52 walked off limping, JB says, so that's not great. Marcus, thank you for doing what you do. That's Marcus said to me. Thank you you're very welcome, Marcus. Rashawn replaces Z's big contract next year. I hope Z gets an extension so they're both on the field next year. Yeah, I still lean toward that not being able to happen. We'll see how that goes, but he's just so expensive. I think we need to put Stokes into reality focus, says Jacob. He's been forced from maybe rookie CB4 to CB1 and hasn't allowed crazy bad results. Dude's been okay. He's big in pass deflections and is almost getting a pick each game. That's pretty much exactly where I'm at. He's not Jair. And I think anybody that's critical of Stokes is mad that he's not Jair. He does give up receptions. He does miss a couple things here and there. He does panic once in a while. But he, like you said, he doesn't give up big plays. and he's consistently breaking up passes, and eventually these are going to be picks. I think he had, like I said, that touchdown. If he could have got his feet set, turned around, maybe could have been a pick. And there was one, I think, later that just kind of sailed on a wide receiver and hit Stokes, and he probably could have picked that one off. But whatevers. Packers have the best red zone defense ever, says Caden. I did dig it this week. Bruce says, I don't blame them not running that much. Really good defensive front. I agree. I kind of thought that might happen as well. Why bother? If the only thing they can do is attack with their defensive front, which is stop the run and pressure the quarterback, let's just throw it. Let's just see if we can get some quick passes going. They more or less did that, and they did a good job of it. All right. Early game WFT, Washington football team, was using a series of stunts and safety blitzes to test our line. Our counter move was short passes, says Heretical. Jacob says, yep, Pack Daddy, that would explain why I didn't get WTF was going on, talking about why I didn't download stuff. Sorry about that, dude. It's been a crazy week, man. Phone got busted and just all kinds of stuff going on. I just haven't really been thinking about it. Took off Saturday just because it's like, I don't know. I got too much going on right now. Speaks McGee says, I noticed Douglas from that first great pass breakup that was called PI. He had a great game. Surprisingly, I'm pretty excited about the secondary. Stokes and Jair could be amazing. It's crazy what they're doing, man. And, again, I got to give it to Joe Barry because, this is half the amount of talent that Mike Pettin had. And maybe it's more to do with how bad Mike Pettin was, because I talked about that last year. There's no excuse for being this bad. I mean, you look at the PFF grades, we had a great defensive line. We had great pass rushers. We had great corners. We had great safeties. But yet the defensive production just wasn't there. I'm hopeful that when we get back to full strength, what we get with Joe Barry is going to be something pretty special. Let's see. Scott says, always appreciate the live feed and podcast. Got to say that game was good, but I feel we left some scores out there again. Also thought our defense would have pressured the quarterback a bit more. So a couple things. First of all, you're welcome. Glad you're always sticking around with me, Scott. Did leave some points out there. I thought they did a pretty good job of getting points. I'm trying to think back. Brain is kind of foggy on some of those drives and how they ended. But again, I think toward the end, a lot of it was just running, and punting. First of all, trying to get out of your own end zone is tough. But on top of that, you're still getting into burn the clock mode. Maybe a little bit too early, but still, they kind of just kicked it into neutral, which is a big part of that. As far as pressuring the quarterback, I mean it when I said that's one of the best. Tampa Bay's about to score a second touchdown on the Bears. That's awesome. Oh, they just did. Just popped up in front of me. Detroit's beating L.A.? Oh, get out of my face. That's crazy. I'm sure it won't stay that way with 13-3. That's crazy. Arizona, Houston still 0-0. Oh, the first quarter's almost done, so that's got to make you feel kind of good. I mean, who knows what the end of the game's going to be, but again, it's one of those things. It's like Arizona's playing like the worst. The best team in football is playing maybe the worst team in football, and they haven't scored a field goal in the first quarter. But no, sorry, I get so distracted. That was one of the best offensive lines in football, no question about it. So the fact that they started stacking sacks and pressures at the end of the game was really awesome. They did a lot, and I don't think they brought a ton of exotic blitzes. It was mostly just the guys up front getting the job done. So kudos to them for that. But, I guess I kind of wish it was a little bit better. But in the full context of really understanding that they've given up less pressures and sacks than just about any team in football, I thought they did a good job. In fact, that's one of the things I'm going to try to, thank you for reminding me of that, Scott. I need to keep an eye on that and not just look at our stats, but how that stacks up against how Washington has done the rest of the season, because we got a lot of pressures and a good handful of sacks. And I'm curious if how many teams were able. Houston got a safety? I'm missing some good games here. How did they get 2 points? They got a safety. How do you contain Kyler Murray? I don't know. Tackle him in the end zone, I guess. Texans are winning. Detroit is beating L.A. I'll root for Detroit all day. I'm all for that. The Bears are getting spanked by Tampa Bay. I would even be okay with the Bears winning the game, to be honest. But I'll take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers destroying Chicago, so long as it's, real bad. Like, really blow them out. That's all I ask. Bruce says, Whitney and Douglas are excellent additions. Praise Goody. Yeah, man. That's the other thing. People that were mad at Joe Barry, and I understand the skepticism. I was skeptical. But people that just flat out said this was a stupid hire before you saw anything, you gotta reevaluate a little bit. And also hopefully learn to pump the brakes a little bit. And likewise, with Gutekunst, he's gotten nothing but hate. And again, he continues to do a fantastic job. And he's not just picking up just random anybody's. He's let a lot of guys go out the door, and we get real mad about it. And then he largely picks up a lot of guys that nobody cares about. And that's something else I need to check out, Bruce, is how Rasul Douglas is doing compared to the other guys that we didn't get that we really, really wanted. It's worth looking at. Peter says, what do you think happened with Douglas's arm? It went dead? I'm hoping it was just some kind of a stinger. I mean, it did look like he just wasn't getting any feeling in it, which is going to be pretty scary. It honestly looked like in that replay, like we saw him doing the arm pinch thing. It really looked like he was doing this at first, like before he did the arm pinch. Like my arm literally is dead. He was smacking it against the ground. That's what it looked like to me. So, yeah, I think his arm just went completely dead. So I'm thinking it's a nerve thing. He got a real bad, stinger or whatever you call that. And his arm just went. But again, I think Rasul Douglas had back-to-back phenomenal plays there. One of them got called pass interference, and it absolutely shouldn't have been. It was a fantastic pass breakup. He followed that up with just a violent hit and ended up getting himself hurt. So he had two great plays, ended up with a penalty and an injury. Wayne says part of the problem with the offense was field position in the second half. Offense won the time of position of yards in the first half. Yeah, that was a serious problem. I mean, when you're starting back on your own goal line, that's pretty tough. And kudos to the defense for getting those stops deep in our end zone. But, it's easier to travel 70 yards than it is 100 yards, I guess. Scott and Ron, thank you so much for liking the stream on Facebook. I appreciate that. Jacob says, Chandon, uncover best defensive player we have aside from undercover best defensive player we have outside from Campbell. This is like the second week in a row I've looked at Chandon Sullivan and just went, this guy is fantastic. I mean, it's very similar to like Mercedes, where you're looking at it like, I don't know what's going on, but this dude's just awesome. And there's just so much of that. Like, this year is just weird. And you want to know, how is it that you can do so well, all things considered, with the amount of injuries you have? You need guys like Chandon Sullivan to step up. You need guys like Rashawn to step up. You need all these certain guys to be able to fill that role and really thrive. Or even guys like Devondre that were always good, to just take it to another level. I mean, he's getting enough targets and receptions to cover two wide receivers in these games. On top of that, again, Brian Gutekunst. Bringing in guys like Whitney Merciless was a great pickup. Bringing in guys like Rasul Douglas. That's how you do it. That's how you thrive and survive in these situations. We're 6-1. We have no business being 6-1. It's crazy. Goose says the refs were awful yet again. They really were. It seemed like they kind of cleaned it up as we went along. But, man, they were really on a fast track to being one of the worst units we've seen. Again, those phantom calls in critical situations, I just don't get it, man. I don't understand that PI on Rasul Douglas where it's like, you didn't see anything. I don't understand why you're calling something when I know you didn't see anything, because it didn't happen. So I don't understand that. Jason, who is a supporter, a subscriber on YouTube. By the way, if you are watching on YouTube, there's a little join button if you're interested. I don't have any cool perks for you, but it's just another way to support the stream. Support what I do, and I would appreciate that. But Jason says, Gary had an incredible game today. I thought he did too, and his hustle is awesome. I mean, the amount of times you see him chasing guys down, whether it's chasing the quarterback to the sideline or even just chasing from behind a running back and getting them down. I mean, he's a fast dude. Let's see. Houston just got to say, yeah, I saw that. That's fantastic. Jason says, Detroit onside kick after the opening touchdown. They fake punted to keep possession. So kudos to Detroit for playing this like it's the Super Bowl. I see it's already 9-13, probably about to be 10-13 unless they missed a field goal or an extra point there. So, I mean, you can't maintain that level of trickery to find a way to win a game. So I'm sure LA is going to pull out a win here, but I respect it, Detroit. I really do. Hopefully their coach doesn't cry this time when they lose. What's Houston doing? Are they about to score again? Houston and Chicago, I want to know. I should just pull up Should just pull up the television here, but I'm curious. Of course, you got to put ads there so I can't see what's going on. Excuse me, Bridgestone, get out of my way. Why? You don't even give me an X to get rid of this. Whatever. Fine. I guess I don't get to watch. All right. Peter says, I liked how the Pack handled their possession before the half, time-wise, and obviously got the Lazard touchdown. Yeah, that was great. You could tell they knew what they were doing. They slowed down just enough, let the clock burn down, because if they don't get a first down here, you've got two options. You go forward on fourth, in which case you don't want to... Oh, there, it finally went away after 10 minutes of Bridgestone. Texans are on their side of the field. That's cool. If you go forward on fourth down and don't get it, they've got pretty good field position, so you want to make sure they don't have much more than 30 seconds. On that same token, if you do get a first down, you don't need much more than like a minute. So you burn that thing down to like a minute 15-ish, right in that third down range. And then, of course, like you said, they did manage to get down there with enough time to just get a touchdown and then not enough time for Washington, especially with that offense, to do anything, pending anything super crazy from special teams. Jacob says they talked about trap games for Green Bay, but how about the Cardinals falling victim to that actual prediction? That's 100%. I mean, they have the same issue we do. I mean, the Packers right now are 6-1 after beating Washington. It's not like they're walking into this thinking we're going to steamroll that team. I mean, they're new to this level of success. Kyler Murray's new to this. It's a young team, and there's still a lot of really bad pieces on that team. I mean, Kyler's really dragging them, and they've got some pieces that are playing at a super high level, but there's a lot of guys, and I'm going to dive deep into their PFF stuff because I think a lot of this might be kind of fluky. I don't know that, but I just think there's a lot of guys playing way above their field goal? Hey, 5-0. There's a score you don't see very much. Way above their... Because my understanding of the Cardinals is Kyler's not that good, although clearly he's way better this year. Okay, granted. They obviously have an elite wide receiver and probably a handful of others. Got it. Offensive line is horrible, and their running backs are terrible. That's my previous understanding. We'll learn more as we go into this. Defensive line is bad. Now, I know... Again, they've got two really good pass rushers now, JJ and what's his name. Here's the thing, though. JJ has been declining, and what's his name has also been declining. It's possible those two are playing at a neck-breaking clip as far as getting back to their elite form, but considering they don't have a lot of help, and again, I'm assuming that, there's nobody else along that defensive line. I don't think they have very good corners. Again, I could be wrong. Maybe some of these guys are really stepping up. But even if they are, what you're going to find is there's a lot of guys who are playing at a level they've never played before. And maybe that's just the way it's going to go all year, and then they fall off next year. I don't know. But it's entirely possible that this is inflated success. It's a bubble that's about to burst. I don't know that, but I'm just confused by their level of success. And obviously a great elite quarterback can do a lot of good. That's true. But also when you have like one or two or three really good pieces that are dragging you to success, and again, the defense is also phenomenal. But generally what happens is at some point, and it happens a lot with athletic quarterbacks. Look at Baltimore. Baltimore and Lamar look like a completely unstoppable force. Eventually, though, they kind of got figured out, and now Baltimore's just kind of, meh. I mean, he's still scary, but meh. Somebody just said 21-0 Tampa. Let me look over there real quick. What happened? Last I saw, when I clicked on it, the Bears had the ball. How did they fumble? There you go. Oh, who fumbled it? Please. Who did it? Justin Fields. Justin Fields. He's so good. Oh, the announcers. What are the announcers saying about Justin Fields? I just got to know. 3 of 6 for 16 yards and a pick and a fumble. Oh, guys, I got to go watch the Bears game, man. Let's get through these questions because I got to go watch this. As much as I hate to watch Tampa do well, why does it say Tampa has the ball? Are we just way behind here or what? Why does Tampa have the ball? Touchdown. Tom Brady passed to... Did they take it back? No, it's 20. I'm just confused. I'm just completely lost. Or was that... it was touchdown and then fumble, and now they have it again? I missed a lot. I'm so happy right now. Oh, I could just pull it up here. I don't need to leave you guys. I'm sorry. I'm not even talking to you anymore. I'm having such a good time. See, this is the other great thing about noon games where you win. Don't have to care anymore. Plus, I mean, Chicago's kind of nipping at our heels here. Let me put this... Sorry if you can hear that. I'm going to get my stream canceled because that's playing in the background. But it's just great because there's no stress for us anymore. Okay, Chicago's got it back again. Past it. Maybe it was just getting caught up. I don't know. Who knows? Who cares? Doesn't matter. Oh, great day. Arizona's losing. Again, I'm sure they're going to win, but they're losing. Raiders, Eagles don't care. Detroit's still winning. Got the ball. Come on, Detroit. Come on, Detroit. Find a way. Dig deep, boys. All right. Jason, who is a supporter once again. And how much has Devondre Campbell changed everything on D? How often does a street free agent come in and get a green dot on his helmet and then commute? Man, you guys are giving me chills, man, just talking about it. I mean, it's just, again, and I did this last year. This is why every time I want to say it, I don't like saying it, because I said it last year and we got knocked out of the NFC Championship game. But how rare is this? Like you just said, the word I'm avoiding is special, because it is. And Aaron Rodgers mentioned how this is reminiscent of when they win the Super Bowl. And to be honest, I think it is. Some people kind of wrote articles like, no, that was different. The defense was better or whatever, which I don't know. I'm not so sure about that, Chief. But you look at it and think about that Super Bowl run. It wasn't pretty. I mean, our record is much better now than it was then. I can say that. But it wasn't pretty. But what happened is we had guys come in, whether it was free agents or undrafted free agents that were sitting on the bench, or just guys we had on defense that just rose to the occasion, kept the points low, kept the team in games, and it was just that grinded out grit that even when we went up against teams where it's like, well, we had a good run, but we're not winning this one, like against Atlanta, they thrived and dominated, you know? Even that Eagles game was kind of iffy. You know, you kind of felt good about it, but you weren't sure. And you get the pick in the end zone and just all kinds of glorious stuff like that, like guys just rising to the occasion. And you know what one of my favorite things about this whole game was? Granted, I was pretty confident and calm this whole game. It felt really nice to not freak out like at any point, but I don't know if it was because of that or just because of what the defense has done. My level of confidence in this defense has never been higher, like maybe in my life. When they would get a first down, it didn't bother me even at all. In fact, there was one point where it was like a 3rd and 2 and they got a first down and I was relieved, because I don't like 3rd and 2, because I want our guys to get an opportunity, because I know they're going to make a play. I know they're going to go down, they're going to get a sack, and I think that might have been the drive when they had the back-to-back sacks with, I think, Rashawn and then, or was it Dean and then Kiki? I don't know. But I think it was one of those drives, and they were moving down the field. I didn't care, because they've inspired so much confidence in me personally, especially against Washington. Granted, against another team, maybe that's not the case, but they've inspired so much confidence. I got to watch the Bears game here. It's a commercial. Good. I was like, I don't want to miss like another pick or something. That would be depressing. I'm sorry, Bears fans. You guys are, I'm sure it'll be good someday. Maybe next year. The level of confidence I had in this game was awesome. Like, I just didn't panic, and they rewarded me. Every time I watched it, I'm like, you know what? They're going to get it. They're going to get there. They're going to get a pick. They're going to get a strip. They're going to get a sack. And there's always those guys that are just looking to make plays, and somebody always makes a play. Pedro says, did Murray just get injured? Did he? Did Murray get injured? Somebody back me. I know this is an old comment, but somebody let me know. Connor says possible PCL injury. See if anybody else is talking about it. Let me go, let me get on the Twitters. I'm behind in the comments, so this might be old news. If somebody wants to send me some information in the comments. Latest on Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray card's killing me. Kyler Murray's horrendous. Kyler Murray overthrew that. Everybody's talking about how trash Kyler Murray is. Makes me happy, because I've been talking trash about Kyler Murray for a long time. And then suddenly he blows up this year, and it's like, oh, shoot, now I'm going to look stupid. But apparently he's playing terrible today. Misfired on the pass. Nobody's talking about an injury. I don't know. Kyler Murray overthrowing Deandre. Kyler sucks. Kyler overthrow. Kyler is cheeks today. Stop overthrowing Hopkins, you midget. Kyler overthrow. Oh, I'm sure this is all about like one play, but it still makes me laugh. Okay, Brambo says no, he's playing. All right, never mind. I don't know. You never know, man. All right, got my Bears game back up. Caden says, Goot's ability to find undrafted free agents and low draft picks that can contribute is amazing. Again, he's just been so good. But people can't get over Jordan Love, and that's the one thing that's stuck in their craw. Hey, there's a drop. Way to go. Almost had a completion. It's not Fields' fault, but it's still going to make his stats look bad. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I really am. I hate the fact that it's to the point now where look at the Bucks fans. They're just like laughing. Those guys are just, he's laughing because he just got handed a ball, but he's just watching it like, you guys suck so bad. It's already to the point at the start of the second where I'm like, I kind of feel bad for the Bears a little bit. I kind of do. Like Mooney. Mooney's a good player, and he just botched that, and he just dropped the ball. I know you guys get mad at me when I say that, and I've been trashing the Bears so hard. That's fine. This is what I want. This is what I asked for, and I'm getting it, and I'm happy about it. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to embrace the suck. All right, Brambo says, Fields fumbles the ball away immediately after he threw a pick. That's so beautiful. Where my Bears fans at? Oh, I'm not going to tweet that yet because maybe he comes back, but I probably won't at all. Man, Bears fans were at me. I do this every year. This is my new thing. There's one thing that I really dig my heels in on, and the fan base hates me. Last year, it was what's his name that the Vikings picked up. What the heck is the guy's name now? I don't know, but the Vikings picked up that pass rusher. Everybody was excited. The media went nuts. The media was really feeding it. Same thing with Fields. That's a big part of the reason that the fan base gets so excited is the media's telling them, this is a great pickup. This is a steal. You guys, and I was telling this guy's trash. He's not good. He's terrible. And you overpaid for him. And Vikings fans lost their minds. I did YouTube videos about it, like multiple YouTube videos. I went real hard on Twitter, and he was terrible. And they ended up giving him away, I think, to the Bengals. And I was right. And again, I'm like, hey, Vikings fans, where are you at? Same thing with Fields. It's like, dude, the guy has not been very good. At least wait until we see what he can do. And they're like, oh, he has been good. Yes, yeah. And the media feeds it. And the media talks about how great he is and blah, 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 blah. And here we are. What are his stats now? Let's take a look. Justin Fields is 5 of 9 for 24 yards, a fumble, and a pick. Well done. Wonderful. Awesome. Beautiful. What a great human being. What other games do we have on? Is this it? This is my one game now? I think so. That's all right. We'll watch this one game. What else we got going on? Ooh, big play alert. Is that the Lions? Get out of here, Lexus. Man, these ads, they love letting these hang out there. Big play alert for 2 different games, but I'm not going to let you know what it is. Arizona's in the red zone. That sucks. Nope, LA had the big play alert. Dang it. Detroit's going to lose by a lot, probably. Arizona's in the red zone already. At least the Bears are going to get wiped out. Hey, Jason Miller with a $4.99 super chat. Quick drop, and I have to run, prepping for the game on Thursday today since I will be working all week. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for all that. I'm excited to look into the Cardinals because very similar to Washington, it's kind of an anomaly to me, kind of from the opposite perspective. I don't know how the Cardinals are this good, and I didn't know how Washington was that bad, but I'll be very excited to kind of dig into it. Ertz, whoa, recovered. Recovered by Houston? Let's go. Let's go, Houston. Dang. All right. That's exciting. What do we got over here? No Bears game yet? Oh, there's Tampa. All right. All right. Jared says, regardless how ugly it was, it's not as ugly as Fields is playing right now. Yeah, you could always be a Bears fan. Oh, look at the defense too. Look at that tackling. That was terrible. I think it's going to be like a weekly segment from now on because you guys loved it so much of tuning into Chicago Bears radio or podcasts or YouTube channels and just getting some clips because that's so much fun, man. And this is going to be a big one, dude. Just you wait. They're going to go nuts. That'll be a little segment for the show. I think that'll be a fun segment, too. All right. Pedro says, Goot did a great job. When everybody gets healthy, we'll probably have a top 10 safety duo, top 10 linebacker group, top 10 cornerback group, top 10 edge group. I'm excited with our defense. Yeah, 100%. And that's assuming we don't have top 10 defensive tackle group with, Kenny Clark. And obviously, again, you're kind of benefiting guys like Kiki. And, I mean, look how good Dean did. Look how good Kiki did. It's not impossible they get into that range. I mean, the whole conversation would be silly that everybody's top 10, but still, they're in contention to possibly be in that top 10 group. All right. Kind of getting some updates on the Bears. Again, I'm behind on the comments. Interception, touchdown, fumble, touchdown 21-0. I don't see how you become a supporter, Goose says. Maybe because you're in Canada, they don't have that. I'm not sure. Oh, he's got that guy wide open. Terrible throw. Brady's trash. Yeah, maybe Canada doesn't have it. There should be on the YouTubes, just as you're looking at it over where the like and the thumbs up, thumbs down thing is. There's share, save, and I think join is right in there. So maybe, again, in the Canadas, you can't do it. But, again, you've been given the super chats and everything. You're paid up, man. I appreciate that. Zach Wilson described his knee as loose. Oh, they're talking about Zach Wilson. That's what somebody was saying. Daniel says Stokes is solid. I'm happy with Stokes, man. I know he's probably not going to grade out very well in this game either. Ooh, there's a pass breakup. Again, garbage throw by Brady. That was never going to be completed. I'm happy with it, and I think a lot of Packer fans are too, which is good because a lot of times this was very similar to Rashawn Gary, but nobody liked Gary. It was very weird. Gary was a very similar kind of a situation where you can see that he's got some growing to do, but you can still see the talent. You can see the production, the pressures. I mean, he's doing a good job. He's holding the edge and doing that kind of stuff, but people just hated the guy, man. They just didn't like the pick, and they couldn't get over it. Stokes, I'm just happy to see the fan base largely is allowing that level of grace, to just say, look, he's not perfect, but he's growing. That was almost picked. Dude, Brady is just, what the heck was that? Maybe the only place he could go, but that was right into a Bears guy's chest. He could have had like 3 passes picked on that one drive. I'm happy about it, man. No matter what happens, I'm happy. Go Bears defense. I love it. Make Brady look like trash, make him pout and cry, and then let Bears Fields go out and throw a pick. I mean, this is a great day. All right, getting a lot of Murray stuff. Oh, Jason says Murray overthrew a wide open D-hop. That's what a lot of those comments were about. Makes you happy. Listen, that's the thing. You got to remember, these guys are mortal, and they make mistakes. And just like Jacob said, I mean, they're possibly in the throes of a trap game as well. In fact, I need to check out what's going on with that game right here. The Cardinals got a touchdown. How? What happened? Dang it all. So the Texans got a fumble recovery. At some point, I thought, maybe it got overturned. Recovered, reviewed the fumble, reversed. Okay, that's what happened. All right, well, that makes me a little bit happier because then they're only like a yard away and threw it to D-Hop and got a touchdown. That's fine. I mean, I don't expect them to win, but as long as they look like trash, I'm happy. I mean, they've got overthrows, they got fumbles, they got everything else. It's good. You want them to get just shake them up a little bit. You know what I mean? How much time we got left? 5 minutes. If they can go into halftime 5-7. That's pretty solid. All right. Goose says Murray is so overhyped. I mean, he had been for a long time. It looks like he's having a better year, but I mean, he definitely looks like a guy that's got some growing to do. One of the other things I want to look at really quickly, just out of curiosity, if I may, I want to look at who they've played so far. So they annihilated Cleveland, but I think, Baker got hurt in that game or prior to that game? Because that kind of makes a difference. But either way, I mean, the fact that it's offense and defense is impressive. 37-14. San Francisco, they only scored 17, which is not impressive, but they held them to 10, which is impressive. LA, 37-20 is impressive any way you slice it. Jacksonville, 31-19 is, I mean, that's pretty standard for any team, I would guess. The Vikings, though, they gave up 33, so they barely beat the Vikings. And then Tennessee, they annihilated. But Tennessee got off to a real slow start, too. I mean, I'm making excuses, but the point is things start to shift. I mean, Kansas City looked a lot better than they were. Now they're just completely imploding. Tennessee looked terrible. They're starting to pick it up. The Packers look terrible. They're starting to pick it up. Kind of like the announcers talked about, you're starting to get a feel for what teams really are. What are some other examples here? Las Vegas, for example, started off real hot. Again, they had the controversy last week, so who knows what's going to happen with that. But they're kind of settling into form of being not very good. Chicago looked like maybe they were going to be better than they were, and they're starting to taper off and becoming just a horrific football team. I mean, they're losing to Tampa, but it's just spiraling out of control. San Francisco had all the hype in the world. They're 2-3 now and probably going to lose to Indy because they just look real bad. What else have we got? Cleveland, I think, kind of looked good, but who knows what's going to, especially with all the injuries, they may just slide just out of necessity here. Denver looked super hot. They're falling apart. Carolina, I mentioned, looked real hot. They're just a joke now. So, yeah, I mean, things change, and Arizona is not subject, I mean, and especially for Arizona because, again, this is so new, and it's a hodgepodge of new acquisitions, Kyler kind of breaking out, and apparently a bunch of really trash guys playing really well. In fact, I'm just going to pull it up while we're sitting here since we're hanging out. I just want to see who's playing well and who's not. They're either winning with guys that have never been good before or despite guys still playing really bad. So Kyler Murray's playing really well. Christian Kirk, who's never played well. But again, he's another guy you could look at and say, well, maybe he's just kind of having his breakout year, especially now that the quarterback is kind of stepping up. But his grades the past 2 years, 62, 62, this year 80. Also worth noting, his first 3 games, 85, 80, 87. Since then, 50, 64, 68. So he had 3. Again, this is what I'm talking about. You blow up early, and then you kind of settle back into what you were. So we can erase that from our memories here. Max Williams was a great pickup, great acquisition. So, I mean, he's another guy that's playing real well. Rondale Moore, the rookie, again, another guy that they added. He's had 2 really big games. He's grading out at a 78 overall. You got DeAndre Hopkins. Guard Sean Harlow. Well, he hasn't played very much, so I don't know if that really even counts. James Conner, the running back, is graded out fairly well, but he's actually graded out quite poorly as a run blocker, or it's mostly as a runner, it's mostly his pass blocking that has him so high. Justin Pugh, the offensive lineman, I'm pretty sure he's quite bad. He's at a 71 right now. And yeah, I mean, his grades have mostly been average. He had 1 good game in there, which is inflating his grade, but again, inflated. He's not very good. And then you get into the 60s and below. So really what it is Kyler Murray exploded, and you've got the addition of Max Williams, you've got the addition of Rondale Moore, and the addition of DeAndre Hopkins that has created this just elite group of how in the world do you stop this tandem of wide receivers, possibly trio if you want to include Christian Kirk, plus Kyler Murray is not only playing well, but he's running. He's got a 45 run grade, by the way. We need to analyze that a little bit. According to PFF, he's been terrible as a runner. His first week, he graded out really, really well. And I've seen a lot of that. He scrambles a lot and gets hit in the backfield a ton. Fumbles have been a big problem for him. He had 2 fumbles against San Francisco, 4 against Cleveland, which is going to negatively impact his grades. But he's got a running grade of 44.9. He's only had 1 game where he's graded out positively at 82 as a runner. 60, 61, 60, 28, 29 have been his grades. He doesn't even have any yards. I don't even understand what people are talking about. He has 116 total rushing yards. I think Heineke had 116 in this game. He had his biggest game rushing was 39 yards on 2 attempts. So, yeah, I mean, I think we got a lot to dig into is I guess the point here. I missed it. Let me know. What happened? Is he fumble again? Did he fumble again? Somebody tell me what happened. Is that a fumble recovery? Oh, I missed it, but I'm still so happy. What a beautiful day. It's dark and cold outside, but there's sunshine in my basement. It's glorious and beautiful. Let's see if the wife is texting me, see how things are going over there. Nothing? My kids are at a little party at my wife's cousin's house, carving pumpkins and stuff. I would have gone because they were watching the Packer game, but I got to do this stuff. Kevin, thank you so much for liking the stream. Garrett, for liking the stream. Thank you. If I didn't say that already, I might have. I don't know. All right. I liked all the green unis. They're the only throwbacks that I've liked. I agree. I mean, all the throwbacks have grown on me just because the Packers always do so well with the, there's a play. What an overthrow. Brady is so trash. He's so bad at football. How is this guy so bad? He's always graded so high by PFF. He must just be having a bad day. This is pathetic. He was wide open. He had, I don't know, maybe there was pressure there, but I mean, I guess I'm not bad. Again, I'm fine with this. But what in the world? How are you that bad? If this was Aaron Rodgers, you know how much he'd get crucified? And I've seen so many. Every time I watch Brady, he plays like this. I mean, he gets graded poorly. I must just be a curse for Brady. Because whenever I don't watch him, he gets graded in the 90s. That was a great play by the defense. Got his hand in there. Granted, it's a running back, so he's, whatever. But, man, so trash. I love it. I love listening to The Score on Monday after the Bears lose. It's beautiful, says Wayne. You might need to remind me of that. Is that the like an AM Chicago station. I probably won't do that. It's hard to navigate. Like even if I can find it online, it gets to be tricky. All right. Let me make sure I'm not looking at really old comments here. Yep, that's an old comment. I believe it said Arizona touchdown. That was almost picked. Jeez. I don't get it, man. I love it, though. I love it. Let me see this replay because I didn't. Oh, that was. Yeah. He couldn't get his arm around, but still. Just a bad throw. Let me see from this angle. Terrible throw. What are you throwing at? He's just playing scared, man. These guys got him. He's scared of that safety over top, scared about 97 getting in his face. I love it, though. I love watching Brady play terribly. Luke, that's hilarious. He says, the Bears, then he said, effing blow, and he blurred. Did he miss the field goal? Hey! He blurred out the ing, which is hilarious. I don't know if he did that on purpose or if that was a joke on purpose, but it was funny. Let's see. Garrett says, Douglas seems to be making progress. Stokes is being tested and still holds his own. Gary making his presence known. I'm happy with that effort other than the tackling. I agree with all of that. I thought Max Williams is out for the season. That's why they traded for Ertz. It could be. This was just the season grades that I was looking at. Let me click on Max Williams here. You're probably right. He didn't play week 6. So, yeah, that's probably what it is. So, again, if we revisit that, the highest 2 guys after Kyler Murray, and by the way, what has Murray been doing? His grades are down. So, again, I'm telling you, and we're going to get into this, Kyler Murray's grades, let me just read it. 84, 76, 73, 82, all good. Last 2 weeks, 57, 69, none good, including 1 bad. Max Williams, who is so Christian Kirk, who is the next highest graded, hasn't had a good game in 3 weeks. Max Williams, the next highest graded, is on IR. Right? I mean, are you getting it? Again, this was just off the top of my head. I said, this feels inflated. It doesn't make sense to be this good, even if Kyler breaks out, because the whole team is so bad. And I haven't looked at the defense yet, because, again, that's another element of why this team is so good, and maybe that's going to keep them in this and all that. But then you got Rondale and D-Hop, and Rondale's still pretty good, but he's inconsistent. 80, 70, 50, 70, 80, 60. So he's got 2 really good games, 2 good games, and 2 not-so-good games. D-Hop, even D-Hop, he's got a 76 overall, which is his lowest since his rookie year at 68.7. He only had 1 down year at 77. He's at a 76 right now. Here's his grades for the season. 81, 61, 59, 71, 87, 63. He's had 2 really good games. That's it. Again, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And you can say the same thing with the defense. Jordan Phillips is the only guy in the 80s. He's only played 1 game. Zavin Collins is next. He's been playing real well. J.J. Watt is after that. Let's see how these guys are holding up. Zavin had his best game, 91 overall against Cleveland. He's been pretty good all year, but he has had some bad games, 67 against L.A. and a 32 against Minnesota. But pretty good pickup seemingly there. J.J. Watt, very inconsistent, 67, 52. Then he went on an absolute tear, 83, 84, 81, and then 56 against Cleveland. We got to see how he does in this game. Against the Texans, you would assume probably quite well. Let's get caught up on this here, see if anything interesting happened. Turnover. Who turned over? The Texans turned it over? You guys suck. I hate you guys. Why can't you just not do that? What's Justin Fields doing? He's running like he got a first down. I'm trying to do too many things at once. I'm looking at Arizona's defense. I'm watching the game. I'm watching the Bears. Anyways. That's a big boy, that running back, man. Dang, look at him go. Look at him go. I'm not even mad. I just don't want I don't care who wins. I just don't want Justin Fields to look good. I don't care if they can run the ball and make Tampa Bay's defense look like trash. I'm all for that. Do that. Please do that. Cooper Kupp just scored for the Rams. That's cool. Max is out for the season. That's it. You have to watch every Brady game from now on. I will, if that's the case, dude, because I have hardly ever, aside from the Packers loss. Actually, he looked bad in the Packers loss. There goes Fields doing the one thing he can do, which is run. It's the only thing I've ever seen that guy do is throw to wide open receivers and run the ball. And again, I'm fine with that. The day I see him throw like a tight window pass for a touchdown is the day I start to worry about Justin Fields. And I saw, I think, one of those ever. I think that might have been in the preseason. And again, it was one of those where it's like, it's still a standard quarterback throw. It's a good throw, but there's no quarterback in the NFL that's never made that throw. All right, the score, 6:20 a.m. Chicago, says Wayne. All right, well, I'm all caught up on comments. I may head upstairs here in a little bit if we're done with comments. Look at that. Look at that trash tackling. You want to talk about bad tackling? Let's talk about Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is so good. What's Tampa Bay even doing this year as far as who plays Tampa this year? Here we go. Here's Tampa. Let's click on it. So they right now, 17th on defense. Defense has fallen off. They paid all those guys to come back, 17th in points. They're bottom half, technically, 9th in terms of yards. The Packers' defense is better than Tampa's defense right now. It's their offense, which is 3rd in points, 3rd in yards, and we're watching Tom Brady fall apart before our very eyes. So again, all this stuff is flimsy, and we can't carry 2021 or 2020 into this season. We got to understand that it's a new year, new season. Packers are different. Packers are worse in some areas, but also better in some areas. I'm fine with a touchdown. Just run it. Oh, they're going to try to throw it. Oof, that was a lame duck throw. It still got there, but that thing looked like it was thrown sideways. Crazy. Irony, Heineke leaping into the stands, and then the touchdown never happened. I kind of was happy about that because he grew up a Packers fan, big Brett Favre fan. He got to do his Lambeau leap, and they didn't score a touchdown. So it's ironic, and I'm also okay with it, you know? I mean, he's probably sad about it, but he still got to do his Lambeau leap. That's got to be a cool experience for him. It's hard to not want him to have that experience because, you know, watching those pictures of him, I mean, that was me. That was us, you know, guys that are our age. Heineke's 30, I'm 34. We were both kids growing up with our Favre jersey on watching Packers games, you know, and he's up there. He got his chance to do a Lambeau leap. I'm glad that the fans didn't, like, push him out of the stands, which technically is their obligation, but it was nice they kind of just let him have that. From my perspective, you probably disagree. Garrett says, run game was not impressive. Let's pray that it makes a statement on Thursday night. We'll look at that. Again, that's one of the things that they do fairly well, stout defensive front, and yeah, the run blocking has been bad pretty much all year, and they got to step that up, and getting some guys back is going to help with that for sure. Mr. Negative wants to text me. It was so funny because he was so negative about the defense the whole game, and he just got made to get embarrassed the whole time because they would drive all the way down the field and he would do like the laughing emojis and this defense is trash and you keep supporting them, blah, blah, blah. And then they'd get a pick. And it's like, you still mad? And then he'd start complaining about the offense. And then the defense would give up a bunch of yards. And then he'd start getting back on the defense again. Like, oh, the defense is trying, blah, blah, blah. And then they get another stop. It's just, oh, some people, man. How is Brian Burns comparing to Gary this year? That's always the big comparison, isn't it? Last I checked, Burns was not quite as good, but that was a while ago. Let me just watch this Bears play, and we'll check it out. Hand it off. That's smart. Doesn't go anywhere, but smart that you take it out of your quarterback's hand. He's got jokes. All right. Let's just do... No, we'll just look at Burns. Let's just look at Burns. See what he's doing this year. We can get a general idea. He has a 58.7 overall grade. 19 pressures, 3 sacks. Rashawn Gary coming into this game had 25 pressures and 2 sacks, I think. His run defense is abysmal. His grades so far this season, 67, 71, 40, 57, 47, 69. It's another thing Mr. Negative would not stop talking about is how much better Brian Burns is and all this stuff. He's not been very good. He's got right at about 10%, 19 pressures on 183 attempts, slightly above. What happened? Keep missing the good stuff. Was that incomplete for the end zone there? Show me the replay. Thank you very much. Going to Robinson. Going to Robinson. Nope, he didn't. What did he do? Anything? He just didn't do anything? Threw it away? Fair enough. So yeah, Burns hasn't done much this year. Kind of a flash in the pan kind of thing. You know, he started off kind of hot. That was also one of those things too. I think that very first year, Burns shot out of the gate like a cannon. Had like 3 sacks in the first game or something just ridiculous. That was going nowhere. That might be a flag, but still going nowhere. You hate to see it. You think if you're going to throw up a jump ball, you throw it to A-Rob or something, not some nobody tight end. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, a better player maybe could have got that, but a little high. I mean, I'm not even mad at Fields. I mean, this is as good as he can get, but he didn't catch it, which makes me happy. So what are you going to do? What are the stats now? Let's get a stats update. That's 14-5 now. Dang it. Stupid Cardinals. James Conner for a 32-yard run with no time left? Ugh, punch me in the stupid face. That makes me so sick. Come on, man. It could have been 7-5 going into halftime. There's no time left. They run the ball with no time left, and he gets a touchdown. Anyways, let's look at Chicago Bears stats. That'll make me happier. I like that you guys are hanging out. Usually things start winding down when all the comments and everything go away, but you guys are hanging out. 9 of 14, 54 yards, no touchdowns. What is it, 2 fumbles now and a pick? 3 fumbles, 2 lost. Whoa, big guy. You hate to see it, don't you? It's tragic. All right. Goose says, how can anyone complain about 14 points? I don't know, man. I don't know. At the time that he was complaining the most, it was 7 points. And it looked like they were about to score again, so he decided he was going to chime in. Because, again, he made no comments. And that was shortly after they just had, some kind of a turnover. They had a turnover. The offense did nothing. And he'll never criticize the offense because Aaron Rodgers is God in his eyes. So he can't criticize the offense. So I think we got a turnover or a stop. The offense did nothing. And they got the ball back, drove down the field, and then he pops up with all his negative comments about how bad the defense is. And it's like, first of all, 7 points. Second of all, where have you been this whole game? Because the defense has done a good job. Third of all, they're only in this position because the offense couldn't do anything. Why didn't they do anything? And why aren't you mad at them? Oh, that's right, because Aaron Rodgers is your God, and you'll never criticize the guy. But then, of course, they ended up getting a stop anyways, and I laughed in his face. Goose says, Burns wishes he was Gary. Yeah, I don't think the Packers are upset about it. I really don't. There's some people that still to this day. Let me just look. I got his stats up right here. Let's go back a couple years. Looking at 2019. So, so I wasn't exactly right. It was 3 pressures, no sacks. Week 2, he had a 73 overall grade with 4 pressures and a sack. Arizona, 88 overall grade, 5 pressures and a sack. Followed that up with 4 pressures and a sack, 2 pressures and a sack, 1 pressure and a sack. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sacks in a row down the stretch. He graded out pretty poorly in a lot of these games, even as a pass rusher. But his sack production was really high. I mean, he didn't even have that many pressures compared to his sacks, but he just got so many sacks. And again, that's all anybody wants. That's why people didn't like Rashawn, and some still don't, because he doesn't get the sack numbers. But everybody just fell in love. And then you wouldn't hear about Burns anymore because he wasn't doing any good. And then it'd be a game like against Atlanta where he'd get a 90 overall grade and all the Packer fans would chime in about how we should have had Burns and what a trash pick. Against Washington, 90 overall grade. He didn't really have any sacks. Finally, week 17 against New Orleans, 3 pressures and a sack. Then you'll hear about Burns. But then when he doesn't do anything, nobody cares. Last year he had a pretty decent year, 57 pressures, 10 sacks. And again, so far this year he's off to a pretty slow start. Barely 10%, just 3 sacks on the season. So, anyways, just wait till they play a good quarterback, Steven. Who's Steven? I don't know. But that's Mr. Negative. I made a joke and I said, wow, defense is so trash. He said, they are. Just wait until they play a good quarterback. This is what miserable people do after the defense held a team to the lowest point scores they've had. To 10 points, which is almost impossible to do in the NFL these days, hold a team to that low of a point total, regardless of the team. I mean, it's a rare thing to do. I mean, there are 10s and 7s and 0s that happen, but regardless of the team, that's a tough thing to do, and they did it, and they've been doing that for a while. And the fact that some Packer fans do that, and I know it's the minority, but let's be honest about it. The fact that some fans want to find a way to justify their opinion that the defense is garbage. Rather than being happy, they're mad that the Packers' defense did a good job and want to argue about how bad they are and are looking forward to next week when they get embarrassed by Arizona. I mean, what a horrible position to put yourself in. All right. Packers have only allowed 63 points in the past 4 games, says Jason. Goose says, oh, yeah, I read that already. Jason says, not juggernaut offenses outside of Cincinnati. You mean the Packers have played? No, that's true, but it's still a quality output. And again, compare it to Pettin. Do you think with Pettin we would have this high of output and this much production from the defense? No. All the stops and everything else. I mean, these teams, especially as slow as starts as we've seen with teams driving down the field, the ability to recover and just shut down offenses after a while. Pettin never had that ability, and we're seeing it now. Heretical says they didn't have this much hype for Trubisky, did they? I don't think so. I really don't think that they did. I mean, there was a little bit, but it seemed like they kind of just didn't like him from the start. I don't. The hype for Fields is just weird. I mean, he doesn't even have to prove it. It's just a given, and maybe it's just because of his college record. There's a beautiful throw. That was a nice Tom Brady throw right there. It's because we're getting down to it at the end of the half. You're giving him that sort of 4-minute warning. He's like, "Oh, watch this." But yeah, you just knew that one was going to go right in there. That's fine. No matter what happens, I'm just happy. Because it's like, oh man, Tom Brady looked good, but also stupid Bears. What's it going to be? Throw up ball? Too easy. Are they going to say he pushed off? Nope. Kind of did, but if the defender doesn't even contest it, they're not going to throw a flag, that's for sure. Ha! I dig it. Anyways, Brambo says, my wife doesn't hate on the Bears like you do, so I'm here. I don't understand that comment, but all right. You're here because your wife doesn't hate the Bears, so you'd rather hang out with somebody that does. I think that's what you're saying. How's Kenneth Murray compared to Campbell? I know the fan base wanted Murray. All right, let's look. I know Zavin's doing great. I think Kenneth Murray is doing terrible. At least he was last year. Yeah, he's even worse than last year. So last year, 54.4 overall grade. So far this year, good week 1, 75 overall grade. Followed that up with a 30 and a 46. Not good in any one. Not good in any one category. It's just been kind of rough. So yeah, not good. So, and I wish there was a little bit more of that. You know, again, it's like Packer fans get so mad when we pick guys that don't pan out, but never want to go back and talk about how I wanted Kenneth Murray and he's trash. You know what I mean? I like Kenneth Murray, but I also said don't pick him because first-round linebackers are almost always garbage. So, plus, I always like linebackers that are no good. If I like a linebacker, he's not going to be good. That's just a fact. It's just a style of linebacker or something that I like. They never pan out. Patrick Queen, I liked a lot. He's terrible. Goose says the best thing about the defense is that they're playing as a unit. It isn't just superstars. Everyone is playing together, and that's how you have a great defense. I 100% agree. That's kind of what I've been trying to articulate and haven't really been able to do. They just play like a unit, and that's what you got to do. I mean, again, I can't articulate what's in my brain as well as normal people can, but you can't really have superstars on defense unless you're talking about, pass rushers or something. Because even if you have, let's say, Darrelle Revis, like Revis Island, whoever you think the best corner would be in any given period, you still got everybody else on the defense, right? And if everybody else doesn't play well, who cares if you shut your guy down if they don't? Everything has to work, and it all comes down to the right play call and then everybody executing. I think even like a Mike Pettin system can work, but it just wasn't working with the guys we had, and they couldn't quite understand it conceptually or something. Guys were not in the right place, or maybe it's just the wrong scheme that doesn't work anymore. I don't know. But I really do think there's a lot of defensive schemes that can work. It's just a matter of can you find the coaches to teach it and get the guys to buy in and understand it. And so there's this weird balance between complexity and simplicity, and the Packers really seem to have found that, because it is somewhat of a complex defense, but it's also somewhat of a simplistic defense. And the guys just seem to know this is my job, and they do their job, and that's it. And as long as guys just do their job, even, again, you don't need superstars. You have guys that just do their job well enough, and you can see how it just is good enough. There's Fields again with a wide open throw. Love it. Love to see it. Superstar in the making. Sorry if my camera's shaking. I'm nervous twitches over here. 12 says, it's so terrible. How do people like him even watch football games? I don't. You know what's even funnier? Whenever I try to reach out to him and talk about how good something is, he says, I turned off the game. Literally, he'll be like, oh, I didn't see it. I turned off the game. I'm not watching that. Because he it would start. He's like, I don't know. They looked bad, so I turned it off. He won't turn it off though when the team is actually doing kind of bad because he wants to talk about it. But, and then obviously when I send him a message after the defense gets an interception or something, then he just disappears for a while, and then he comes back with those nothing comments like, well, just wait till next week. I mean, he sounds like the most obnoxious Bears fan or Vikings fan, or just what the heck was that, Fields? Jeez, you know what I mean? Like it's just. They're all, and you would understand it if it was a Bears fan, like whatever, you beat Washington, wait till you play a good team. You understand that. But a Packers fan, I don't get it. Goose says, if you can't enjoy your team winning, you should probably just stop watching the sport. I've told him that. I'm like, if you think some of these other teams are so much better, you should go root for them. I mean, they got better GMs. They know how to draft. They know how to go all in and all that stuff. Just go for it. He'd be a good band. He would be a terrible bandwagon fan, I bet. Unless he just changed from week to week, he'd be terrible because nothing's ever good enough. He'd be watching Tampa right now and just be furious at how trash Tom Brady looks and everything else. Wait until you play a real team. Oh, that should have been hands to the face, but whatever. I guess I'll let the Bears get away with that one. Fields doing what he does, runs for yards because that's all the guy can do. I'm telling you. That's all he can do. Throw to guys that are open and run the ball. It's funny because Bears fans used to really cheer when he did that, like go wild, because it's like, yeah, we got a guy that can run. It's so exciting, even though Trubisky could too. But I have a feeling they're not doing that anymore, because now it's like, oh, yeah, great. Yeah, maybe learn to run the ball or throw the ball once in a while. Andy said, this is funny. Andy says, and they'll probably say, quote, I'm not miserable, I'm realistic, but if you can't enjoy winning, then stop watching. I got that exact tweet for you. Not exact, but it's in the same spirit. All right. Where is it? Wasn't that long ago. All right. Let me just give you a little bit. I said you only want to comment on negative stuff, so I'm not really going to take what you say seriously. He swore at me for that. Said you're being a little P-word little boy. I said, oh, okay. He said, this defense sucks. I said, did they suck on that turnover that resulted in 7 points? That was right after he said that. They got a turnover, got 7 points. Then he just kind of ignored that, and he said, negative how? I presented you with facts. Again, I'm not miserable, I'm realistic. And I said, yeah, only some facts though, right? Only want to talk about some facts, not the good facts, the bad facts. And so you guys got to understand, when I come on my podcast and rant a little bit about how angry I am, and you got to understand, it's not just him. And I don't want to like dog everybody because some people might be watching or whatever, but I'm getting Twitter messages. I got messages on my, you can text me on the Google Voice thing, whatever. I got people messaging me on there. It's a lot of negative. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy the defense did so good, but that's not good enough. Okay, well, it's good enough this week. Anyways, Jason says, Fields hype equals the power of, quote, I wish. That's pretty much it. It's just, I don't know, man. I mean, I have lots of theories as to what a lot of this hype was. Some of it has to do with his college play. Some of it has to do with other things, but it's just been unnecessary. Not that he was never going to be good, and not that he still can't be good. It might be coming, but it was based on nothing, and that just annoyed me. Goose says, no, I'm realistic. I enjoyed the win so much, but acknowledging that there were imperfections. That is realism. The other is just misery. No, 100%, and there are negatives. And there, you can even realistically say, I don't know if that's good enough to beat the Cardinals. Yeah, totally, I get that. I mean, I don't know if this defense has enough talent to beat Washington. You know what I mean? Like, as decimated as they are, you got to worry about stuff like that, but they found a way. And every week you look at it and go, I don't know if they can win this game against the 49ers. You can be realistic and say, I don't know if they're going to beat the 49ers. You could be realistic and say, I don't know if they're going to beat the Steelers. It's going to be tough. You could be realistic and say, I don't know if they're going to beat the Bengals. You could be realistic and say, I don't know if they're going to beat the Bears. You can be realistic and say, I don't know if they're going to beat Washington. But every week, despite the hardships, they found a way to rise to the occasion and win the game. And all I'm saying is, it's realistic to say, let's give them an opportunity to prove that a 6-1 team is good enough to beat a presumably 7-0 team. I don't think it's that crazy to assume, especially since, again, I do think Arizona is going to be somewhat overinflated. Let's see this Fields. And he's going to go down. No, he's going to escape. Nope, 4th down, he got sacked. Boy, oh boy, you just hate to see it. And watch, Tom Brady's going to get on the field. I bet they get a touchdown here. 1:54 with about a half a field to cover. No way they're not going to do it. Oh, where's Bears Twitter? I got to check out Bears Twitter. I'm just going to tweet that because it's going to be funny. Oh, life is good. All right. Yeah, to Andy, I hate that they pretend realism is being upset with everything that the team does. Not the same thing. And again, that was my exact response. He says, I'm not being negative. I'm just presenting you with facts. You are presenting me with facts, but only half the facts. Here's the big shot again. He was stumbling, though. That would have been a touchdown, but he was stumbling. So, and that's the difference. That's the difference between realism and negativity. Realism is acknowledging all the truth. It's acknowledging the positives and the negatives, and just it's realism, right? It's just where I think we really are. Negative is only talking about the negative, only complaining all the time, and then pretending that somehow makes you the better fan because I refuse to acknowledge anything positive and even celebrate a win or celebrate a 10 points scored by your opponent with a decimated defense. I refuse to acknowledge that because they gave up a bunch of yards and probably won't do that next week, as if that makes any sense whatsoever. Jason says, Gesundheit from my sneeze a while ago. Thank you very much. Mike says, I like Zavin Collins. I can't remember if I did. I think I did, but I wasn't super into this past draft, which is surprising because that's one of my things, I guess. Just as far as scouting, like I understood, I more or less took a step back and just acknowledged what the field was saying about the prospects. I didn't really watch and get a lot of favorites in this draft. I think I kind of liked him, but I don't really remember even if I liked him all that much. But he's doing a great job. Are the Raiders better without Gruden as a coach? Maybe. What are they doing right? I saw they were winning before, but they were doing pretty good before. Let me close some of these tabs. Getting a little crazy in here. 24/7, there you go. Yeah, they're back on track a little bit. 17-16, Bears game. Detroit's at least keeping it close. I really would be surprised, but I'm surprised they're just hanging in there. We'll see what LA can do with the ball. Arizona's got the ball again. Wait, what is going on? Why is there still time left? Oh, that was the first quarter? I thought it was halftime. Never mind, I'm stupid. All right, whatever. It's still only 14-5, though. I wish this thing would pop up and show me where we're at. Current drive. All right, 5-yard penalty was where we left off on that one. Anyways. Goose says, I can't make fun of him anymore. I just feel bad for him. Like, how bad is his life? Yeah, you got to wonder. Was that a penalty there? Oosha. Oh. Sorry, I'm just reacting to highlights. Bears still suck, says Mike. They really do. It's great. Imagine turning off the game because your team is doing well. You are so prideful that you would rather your team be trashed than feel vindicated. And it's not uncommon, which is crazy. There's another guy, he goes by Adam, but I don't think that's his real name. There's another guy who hangs out here on YouTube. He might be here with us today, but there's one on Facebook, one on Twitter, and one on YouTube for sure that are like the exact same guy. They only acknowledge the negative ever. Adam is on Twitter, and he only talks bad about Rashawn Gary for the most part. Occasionally, he'll pop up and say some other stuff, but he'll be quiet for several weeks, and then Rashawn doesn't show up for half a game, and he'll just talk about how trash Rashawn is, and we shouldn't have drafted him, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just the way these guys are. They make a statement, and they're just stuck on it. And, again, Mr. Negative here said Joe Barry was a terrible hire. And he doesn't like a lot of things about this defense. And so he's dug in, and he can't find his way out of it. He'll never admit he was wrong. And it's just the way it goes, and I don't really understand it. Benny the Beast says the Bengals' victory is looking better after they crushed the Ravens. I agree. It also makes you think about the Ravens. Again, very similar kind of a situation where it's like, well, the Ravens are going to trash us. Are they? Are they good? I don't even know. Are the Cardinals even that good? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the score ends up at. But kind of remains to be seen here. What was I just going to look up? How's your boy KJ Hamler looking this year, says BRM. Good question. KJ Hamler I was very big on. That was 2 years ago when I had a lot more opinions. I really, really liked KJ. Better. So he had a 55 overall grade last year, only a 65 this year, but it's been, looks like he's out injured actually since week 3, so he might be on IR. But 74 overall grade week 1, 51 week 2, and then 73.4. Let me go to the receiving grade so we get some stats along with that. But he's had 2 very good games, 1 bad game. But 74 yards, no touchdowns, 14.8 yards per reception. Seemed like he was kind of getting into his groove, and then kind of got jacked up a little bit, which stinks. Tom Brady's got time in the pocket, but he's about to go down, but he gets the ball out, which is classic Tom Brady. Running back got scared and ducked out. Fournette, isn't that like your whole thing? Like you're a big, strong dude. You take the guy on. He kind of like ducked. Oh, you chicken. That's right. They're going to get 30 points. They're going to come out with 30 points pretty soon here before the half. Are they going to go for it? It doesn't matter. That's crazy. Yeah, they're going to annihilate Chicago. Joel says, looking forward to Thursday, partially because it'll be the last game we'll see Rodgers with the greasy mane this year. Is it? Why is that? I don't know about that. Garrett says, which defensive player deserves a game ball first? Well, who's in contention? Rashawn is in contention. Chandon is in contention. Campbell, I think, could be in contention, but he didn't have any big plays. I think he was just solid all day. Stokes, I don't think so. Rasul, I think, does. Is in contention. Amos had a big pass breakup. Trying to think who was like the most official. I don't know. Those are kind of, unless I'm missing somebody. It's tough to say because a lot of those guys like Rasul Douglas, his biggest thing is his name never got called. For the most part, aside from the big plays that it did get called. I don't know. It's a good question for you guys. What do you guys think? Goose says, can we have a shout out for my boy Lazard? The Lizard King showed up today in force. He did, man. Very excited about that. I actually put him on one of my fantasy teams. I had so many guys that were injured and out that I picked up some different guys. I picked up 2 guys in one of my leagues. One was Lazard, one was the other. The other guy had more points predicted, and I was like, you know what? No, I'm putting Lazard in. I just, probably going to lose anyways. Let's put Lazard in there. Are they just going to do a classic sneak? Because that's automatic at 4th and inches, I think. He's arguing with the ref right now. Sorry, I just want to see this. They're going to call a timeout. That was weird. Anyways, I could see us losing to the Cardinals. I just hope we look competitive. No blowouts, says Andy. That's true. I mean, again, part of this whole gauntlet experience is, can we hang with them? Because we're not going to determine who wins the Super Bowl during this outing, right? We're going to find out who the best of the best is, right? If the Cardinals win, well, then they're better than the Packers. And then if this team beats the Cardinals, well, then they're better than the Cardinals. And then once we get that all sorted out, we'll hand the best team the trophy. That's not how that works. All right, we got to find out. The other thing, too, is let's say we lose, and let's say it's not competitive. What does that have anything to do with how we're playing in Week 19 or 17 or 18 or whatever? It has nothing to do with it because the team is continuing to grow, and at that point, it might be a completely different team. You might have guys like Amari Rodgers emerging. We're going to have David Bakhtiari back, hopefully. Elton Jenkins, you're going to have, they didn't sneak it. Oh, that was I was just talking trash about him not playing big boy football, and he goes up against the smallest guy on the defense, Duke Shelley, and just lays him out. Well, there you go. 4th down conversion. 25 seconds left. Surprised they didn't sneak it there. Touchdown here? No, he sailed that. As soon as he let that go, he was wide open too. Tommy trash. Dang. Can't even be mad at the wide receiver. I don't think he is either because it doesn't matter where he was going to be. That was no way. That was way too far. What are you doing, Tom? Also, we'll be done with 6 of our 9 road games with the road game in Kansas City. Lots of home cooking down the stretch. So he kind of just added to my comments there, what I was talking about. It just, you want them to win. But at the end of the day, I think we know this team is good enough to have a good enough record to get into the playoffs. The question really is going to be, can we stay healthy? Can we win enough games? Is still technically a question. Can we stay healthy? Can they keep that level of resilience, which is important? And then at that point, it's just, can we get guys like Lazard to continue what they're doing? Tunyon to continue, keep that up. Get guys like Bakhtiari back. Elton Jenkins, keeping him in the game and healthy and just our center hopefully there's the touchdown. Our center hopefully is going to be playing at a higher level and can and back from IR. Hopefully we get Jair, but you know what I mean? Like, if we can play closer to full strength with the guys we got, maybe Za'Darius comes back. At the end of the day, I mean, I don't mean to downplay it like we don't need to win, because of course you want to win. It doesn't really reflect our ability to win a Super Bowl this year. You don't want to see him get blown out, but, you know, it just doesn't. It means about as much as week 1 meant when we got blown out by New Orleans. How much does that impact your feeling about this team? I mean, it kind of doesn't. We almost just kind of rule it out when we look forward into the future of how well they're going to play, because that was clearly an anomaly. We got a lot of football left to play. Goose says, I'd be fine with playing our backups against the Cardinals just because of the short week. I'd rather have the loss now than anyone injured. I hate Thursday night football. Probably won't have a lot of people agree with you, but I understand. Kevin says, I want to see Arizona win this week. I hate facing a good team the week after they lose their first game. That's fair. They kind of come back on fire after that. They do get a little demoralized, though. Again, I got so many tabs open, I'm having a hard time finding stuff. So 17-5. Oh, now it's 17-5. Come on, Houston. 17-5 coming out of the halftime. That stinks. Detroit's still keeping it competitive, and they got the ball. What are they doing? Tell me you're close. Oh, here we go. Game Pass ad. Going to be up for 45 minutes. Oh, nope, it's gone already. Show me where you're at. Current drive. 3 plays, 1 yard. Are you about to punt? Is that what's going on here? 2nd and 15. Oh, lovely. Jared Goff, short pass, 3rd and 6. All right. Doable. Come on, guys. Find a way. Punch it in. Take the lead. Do the thing. If we get Jair back with him in the slot and Stokes and Douglas on the perimeter, we have a chance at the top 3 to 5 shutdown defense, says Daniel. That's another option they could entertain. That's kind of interesting. It's hard to imagine the Packers have pulled the trigger on that, just kept keeping Kevin King on the sideline, but in a way it does kind of make the most sense to me. 2-yard sack. You guys, I tell you what, who got the sack? Young? Whatever. Goose says, I ate my crow with Barry. I trashed him week 1, and now I'm loving the guy. I did too after week 1. I don't know if I trashed him, but it was one of those things where it's like, you had to overcome a lot considering your record to prove to everybody you're not as bad as your record, and this is going to be a different kind of defense. And I can bring here what the Rams have. I can bring the Vic Fangio, that style of defense, and you're really not proving it. And that was a terrible outing, and went over all how that was one of the worst defensive performances the Packers have had in like my lifetime. And yeah, it was bad, but he bounced back. Goose says Sully would be his pick, I'm guessing is what you mean by that. Oh, what happened here? Am I looking at the right team here? Who is Seymour? I don't even know who that is. Seymour. Is that a Ram? Rushing? Where's the rushing stats? Who's more? What's happening here? I'm so lost. Punt formation. Oh, punt formation. They faked the punt. Continuing the Super Bowl run. Atta boy. I love it. Pick up the first down. Dude, I'm digging it, man. I'm liking their head coach, dude. He was all sad and stuff that they lost, and he's like, you know what? And why not? You're 0-6. You want to get your team a win. We're going to play like it's the Super Bowl. We're going for it on 4th down. Fake punt again. Dang. 2nd and 7. Are they in field goal range? They're about in field goal range, too, so they can take the lead here either way. I dig it. Rodgers is only wearing the long hair for a Halloween costume. Probably will cut it afterwards, says Garrett. That's random. Brambo says Dean Lowry. So that's definitely a thought. He had a couple big plays, I think, didn't he? He had a couple sacks, maybe. Definitely in contention. Pass short, middle for 7 yards. Another first down. Digging it. Let's go Lions. I've never been this jacked for the Lions before. My second favorite thing in sports is Brady crying, says Goose. Yeah, man. I love that. John says, Stokes, I thought looked good. Even when he gave up the score, he was in decent position. That's true. John says, really excited about Eric Stokes. He's so sticky, just needs to learn a little nuance. That's 100% where I'm at. Shannon's playing pretty well, says Jason. Jason goes on to say, don't know we want him on the bench. No, yeah, it's tough, man. I don't know what you would do. I still think you put Jair in place of Rasul, which seems impossible, but, we're going to be going up against some premier guys. You look at next week, for example, if Jair can even, I don't know if he can. Point is, let's just use that as an example against a guy like D-Hop. As good as Rasul has been, it's like Jair would be the guy you pick, right? Not messing around with putting him in the slot or trying to be cute, getting our best 11, any of that stuff. You put your best guy on their best guy, and that's the end of the conversation. Well, I tell you what, guys. It's been, we're cruising in on 2 hours here. I think I'm going to call it. I'm going to head upstairs, maybe take the dog out, see how the wife's doing and all that stuff at the party. Maybe get a little food, and appreciate you guys hanging out with me, keeping me a little bit of company. And we'll be in touch, man.